Ya, memang dah sebelah.
Okey, boleh kita mula ya?
Boleh, insyaAllah.
Okey, 9.30. Okey. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And salam sejahtera. A very warm welcome to all of you, dear ladies and gentlemen, to this webinar series, which is brought by Center for Development of Academic Excellence, CDAE USM. This webinar series is actually part of the professional development program organized by CDAE USM. We are very grateful today to have with us Dr. Khairul Anwar Azmi, who will be talking about understanding copyright and plagiarism. And allow me to introduce Dr. Khairul before we invite him to proceed to share his experience and tips on how we could understand copyright and plagiarism better. Okay, Dr. Khairul Anwar Azmi is currently head of the Integrity Unit, and he's also the head of Legal Unit in USM. He has more than 24 years experience as a legal advisor practicing in Malaysia and Adelaide, Australia. Dr. Khairul advises on matters related to governance, corruption, integrity and transparency, intellectual property rights, medical legal, corporate legal and regulatory developments, and other related legal affairs. He is a certified integrity officer from Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, a certified legal drafter of the Royal Institute of Public Administration, International London, certified arbitrator, Malaysian chapter, a certified professional intellectual property manager at the Malaysian Institute of Management, member of the International Ombudsman Association based in Los Angeles. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we really look forward to hear a lot of new insight which will be shared by Dr. Khairul Anwar Azmi today. Our session today starts at 9:30 until 11:30, and to benefit more participation, we also live stream this webinar through CDAE YouTube channel. Well, without further ado, let us give a big round of applause to Dr. Khairul Azmi, Chairman. Over to you, Dr. Khairul.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for today's introductions. I guess it's quite a little bit lengthy for my introductions, but that doesn't matter. We will, this morning, we will share with you on the ideas of copyright and plagiarism. My apologies for not being well today. I just finished my quarantine last week. I was positive about 10 days ago. I finished my quarantine last week, and yeah, still the voice are still in the states of repairing, I guess. Okay, bear with me on this for today's sharing session. Today, I would like to share with you the copyright and plagiarism. I guess many of us understand what's our copyright, what are plagiarism. We have heard about these two words frequently. However, we may not know what are the differences between copyright and plagiarism, and how and in what context they are being using in terms of copyright and plagiarism. Sometimes they are being interchangeably being used without we understand the situations of copyright and plagiarism. But with today's sharing, I guess all the doubts about the copyright and plagiarism will be erased. You will understand more about the copyright and plagiarism, so that you can use the right words in the right context and understand what are the consequences of this copyright and plagiarism to us, particularly the academicians and students undergoing the PhDs or master by research at the moment. Okay, let us start here with the definitions or the terminology for plagiarism. You have heard the word plagiarism, definitely. You have been using it. Avoid plagiarisms. Otherwise, your thesis won't be able to be submitted for viva voce. And then you may also heard the word in bahasa. It's called, sometimes, most of the time, being called ciplakan. Ciplakan. And the other things that has been used is also about pengkhianat, pencuri karya, etc. So these are the words or the term being used. In USM, we definitely are against two main issue about academic integrity. One is plagiarism, and the other one is free riding. You may, some of you may first time heard about free riding. What are the free riding? Is it similar? Is it similar to the things that to plagiarism, for example? It's totally different. The word plagiarisms and the free ridings are two terms or two different situations of academic integrity. Today, we are only concentrating on the plagiarism. We are not concentrating about free riding because free riding will take about 30 to 45 minutes in order to explain about what are the free riding. Basically, free riding is that, for example, an academic without any contributions, etc., without any contribution, suddenly his name or her name appeared in the other in the publications without any contributions. That is called free riding. Normally, you will say, yeah, why free ridings are wrong? Free ridings are wrong simply because there is no contribution, and most of the time it involve relationship between the parties. Relationship can be the family relationship, husband and wife, siblings, etc. But it can also be between a boss and his inferior. Okay, a person with his superior, for example. Okay, so a senior with his or her junior. So free ridings means that here in the definitions, we refer as an act of taking a free ride by putting one name to an academic outcome, especially in research and publication, without any significant contribution of his or her part, whoever. The case escalate to a serious free riding if it involve a family relationship. For example, a husband and a wife with two different fields, for example, but in every of their publications, both the names appeared. So it became a more serious issue when it involved an academic integrity of free ridings, when it involved the family relationship. The same goes to the siblings, brother and sisters, brother and younger brother, etc. So in USM, it's not too prevalent, we say, but once sometimes the issue may be raised during the academic interview or promotions. Okay, this is about the free riding. But today, this morning, I will be concentrating on about plagiarism only, whereby, as you understand, plagiarism is an act of quoting, copying, or paraphrasing and presenting any ideas, images, processes, work data, personal lines, or those of other resources without acknowledging or referring or quoting or citing from the rightful original source. I will share with you some of the examples that will make the case of plagiarism more clearer to you, inshallah, while we are sharing with you about what actually consists of plagiarism. Okay, in bahasa also, it's been called as a janayah academic, the academic crime. This may be, you may heard about the word janayah academic or the academic crime, but you may not heard about this phrase of zina academic. Plagiarisms in Indonesia is also being referred to as academic adultery, okay, or zina academic. not in Malaysia, but I'm handling one case involving one docent, one lecturer in Sumatra, and as a result, at that time, the media in Indonesia been quoting the word zina academic. So that's why I came across first time the word zina academic back in year 2015, simply because a case that we have been referring to. Okay, so yes, it's not a Harvard academic, but it's a zina academic. So it shows, it portrays how serious it is, plagiarism. Okay, about plagiarism, how serious, and that's why we need to avoid it. Okay, from this slide, you may notice that the word has been used. Okay, academic has been used in terms of describing the plagiarism. So this is the important word where it make the vast differences between plagiarism and copyright. I will concentrate on the word academic because this word actually differentiate between these two, i.e. plagiarism and copyright. So let's see about plagiarism first before we go to the what are the differences. Definitely yes, USM has a policy against plagiarism. In bahasa we call it dasar terhadap ciplakan. The original versions of our policy was dasar Universiti Sains Malaysia, dasar ciplakan Universiti Sains Malaysia. It was like encouraging ciplakan. Okay, that's why we insert the word terhadap or against in English, so that it means that this is a policy, this is a dasar against plagiarism. We are not encouraging plagiarism. That's why we are against it. And we in 2017 we have used the word dasar Universiti Sains Malaysia terhadap ciplakan. So if you ask whether USM do have the policy against plagiarism, definitely the answer is yes, we do have. We do have this policy since 2013, 2013, and we are one of the earliest university that have the policy against plagiarism. Actually, the policy against plagiarism was first drafted simply because there was a court case on plagiarism. The court case uh, is not involving plagiarism per se, but one of the element of plagiarism was discussed in court thoroughly. I will discuss the case whereby the case name is Fauzilah Saleh versus Universiti Malaysia Terengganu 2012 case, and as a result we do have this policy back in 2013. So it took a year roughly in order for us to draft it. Okay, simply because there was a case and the court decided that all university awam, all the public universities should have a policy on the plagiarism. That's why we are one of the early universities that has drafted and crafted this policy. So we do have it. These are the details about the plagiarism policy in USM. What is the source of power of this policy? It was approved back then in Senate in 2013. To be precise, our policy started since 21st February 2013. Okay, and it was first drafted and approved by the Senate. So why we use or we choose Senate as the approving parties or the approving authority? Simply because Senate is the highest academic authority in every public universities in Malaysia. So since plagiarism involve academic issues, so it should be endorsed and approved by the Senate. So we first have the policy back in 2013 February. However, while we are implementing this first version of plagiarism policy, 2013, 2014, 2015, and in 2016, we found out during that years that there are many loopholes in implementing it. In executing the first draft was not easy. There are many loopholes. There are many inefficiency. There were many uncertainty in implementing it. As a result, we do a second revision. The second revision started sometimes in 2016, and again, it was approved by the Senate on 26 January 2017. It took a couple of months in order to approve it. Our policy was about 40 pages. Have the both version, Bahasa and English. And since 2017, we implemented the second version. We don't have any more issues of loophole or inefficiency, uncertainty. It's all being rectified and remedied in our second version dated 2017. So at the moment, we have the second version that we are using at the moment. And there is no sign that we should amend it at the moment because it's all there and it's all been used rightly and without any hassles to implement it. So these are the versions that been used. Of course, both versions has also been approved by our board of governors. Okay, so these are the details. If you would like to know more about this policy, there are three main officers that deal with this plagiarism policy. Of course, the first one is IPS, your IPS, our IPS. Second is my office, and the third one we can also refer to academic management office under the stewardship of Timbalan Naik Chancellor Akademik dan Antarabangsa, Deputy Vice Chancellors Academic and International. So these are the details. Besides that, we also, for the postgraduates, you should also aware that the same policy, almost take it in verbatim, we incorporate also in our USM Code of Good Practice for Postgraduate Research Studies. So besides it being contained in our policy, it's also been the exceptions are also been inserted to our USM Code of Good Practice. So in both versions, we do have the things about plagiarism. In fact, we in our kaedah tata tertib pelajar, the students disciplinary rules and regulation, we also have a general paragraph about the offences of plagiarism. Okay. So in this case, you may notice that I didn't say anything about copyright yet. So whether we do have a copyright code of good practice or we do have a copyright policy in USM, we don't. We do not have that copyright policy or we do not have any code of good practice for copyright. Okay. So simply because this is one of the important difference between plagiarism and copyright, which I will repeat it again later on. Don't worry. The main difference between copyright and plagiarism is plagiarism only happen in universities. Okay, copyright can happen within the universities or outside the universities, and most of the time, copyright involve court. Plagiarism does not involve court. Plagiarism tak melibatkan mahkamah. Copyright banyak kes melibatkan mahkamah untuk mendapatkan hak. So the most important difference is this. Copyright is always something to do in the business course of we are doing normal things in the course of business. Okay, but plagiarism only happen in higher education, in the university. You may ask whether, in higher education, does it happen in the school? No. In fact, I would say no. Okay. Does it involve in research institute? Yes, because it can be part of the higher institutions. Okay. So plagiarism is actually an offense of academic. Remember, I mentioned just now about jenayah academic, zina academic. So plagiarism always need to be associated with academic. Tanpa academic, tak ada plagiarism. So, if you are accusing someone of plagiarism, it must be stealing or stealing a kind of academic things. But if you are accusing someone for breach of copyright, it means that something to do with Ringgit Malaysia and something to do with in the ordinary course of business. Okay, not in the university. Okay, so it means that plagiarism can only be used, the term plagiarism can only be used in the university, cannot be used outside. If you have read something like, for example, the Australian master chef, for example, has been accused of plagiarism, it's not the right sentence. Okay, there was an issue of Australian master chef. The accusation was something to do with breach of copyright, but the reporting says that one of the contestants was accused for breaching of the plagiarism. No, it's not being used in the right context, but of course people understand it's something to do with stealing the recipe, stealing the whatever things that have been written on the recipe for MasterChef, but in actual terms, legally, it's not being correctly used. So, plagiarism is something to do of stealing of academic value. You can be accused for stealing the academic journals, academic publications, academic books, but nothing else. Okay, so I will repeat it again, no problem, because we have a specific sessions on these differences between this plagiarism and copyright. So, what is plagiarism policies? Okay, it's something to do with infringements of academic conduct, and of course, the definitions of plagiarism according to Oxford University. I just read it. Oxford University has defined plagiarism as a copying or paraphrasing of other people's work or ideas into your own work without full acknowledgement. So what does it mean? If you are putting full acknowledgement, you are putting a correct citation, is it doesn't fall into plagiarism? Yes, it will not fall into plagiarism. Okay? Plagiarism is something to do with you are copying or paraphrasing other people's work and use as yours without acknowledging the real author or the original author. So it's something to do with we are not being honest in putting the right source into our career, our own work. Okay, so these are definitions for plagiarism. Cambridge use the definitions or define the plagiarism as submitting as one own work, irrespective of intent to deceive or not, that which derive in part or it is in entirety from the work of other people without due acknowledgement. Again, the um, sentence of due acknowledgement was used again for plagiarism. So plagiarism, in short, if you are putting or acknowledging the rights author, so it's okay. No need to worry about plagiarism. So it means that you can copy or you can paraphrase other people's work, provided you are putting the right acknowledgement, the right citations. This is why the citation is important in your in your field. For example, publication as well as your thesis, PhD thesis or Master of Research thesis. So it's important as long as you are obeying or obeying the main rule that is put it the due acknowledgement in your thesis or in your publications. Okay, these are the definition of USM. We are a little bit different in our own way. Okay, in our plagiarism policy of USM, we define plagiarism is something to do with, of course, presenting, copying. You are putting your own paraphrasings or ideas, image, process, etc. Uh, um, without putting the due acknowledgement or reference or to the right citations from the rights from the original author. It's something to do with perbuatan membentang, memetik, menyalin, memparafrasa atau menyebarkan idea, image, proses, karya, data, perkataan sendiri atau orang lain atau sumber tanpa memberi perakuan, tanpa memberi rujukan, tanpa memberi petikan yang betul kepada sumber asalnya. So I guess you have got some ideas about the plagiarism by now, so that so that we can deal the issue. What are the real issue behind plagiarism actually? I would like to quote this an ex-academic from one of the universities in Malaysia. He's a foreigner, married to Malaysians, Mari Hunter. On 10 June 2021, he said he published in the social media saying that academic dishonesty in Malaysia is rampant. Okay, is not within not only in the education issue, is all in the civil service, business, even political walk of life within society. My question here, whether academic dishonesty refer to plagiarism? Yes, in this context, he referring to plagiarism. Okay, and also include cheating in the exam. So this is what he said in his article. Okay, published in the social media. He said that it was revealed that students well understand what university policies are to plagiarism and cheating are. Yet, due to peer pressure and the feeling of security of collective culture, large percentage of students partake in cheating in one or another form. Okay, these are the percentage that I'm not too agreeable to his article. He said that 95.7% has partaken in some form of plagiarism. 96 has shared their assignment with other students. 93% have cheated during a test. 92% have falsified data. 86% have cheated in the exam. Okay, from the USM context, I would say roughly we have about 3 cases per year. 3 cases out of 31,000 students, current enrolled students of USM, we have three cases of plagiarism per year. We have roughly about 6 to 10 students cheated during exams. Okay, okay. During the PKP time or COVID-19 situations for the past 2 years, we have about 10 cases. Prior to that, we have about 20 cases. So 20 out of 31,000 students have cheated during exam that has been caught and brought over to the students' disciplinary actions. So it definitely is not near to 95 or 96 or 93% that has been alleged by him, Marianta. Okay, we are talking about 0.0001% of the students that we have caught for plagiarism or cheating during exam. So I repeat that there is a data later on that I will share with you about 3 cases a year for plagiarism. Okay, average, and about 10 to 20 students cheated during exams that have been caught and brought over to our tata tape. So the statistics may not reflect, the real statistic may not reflect that what has been alleged by Mari Hunter, but still I'm sharing to you his exception so that so I would like to share the perceptions of some of the ex-academicians in Malaysia about what are the situations of plagiarism in Malaysia. Of course, the cut and paste of curriculum from other universities when developing new courses, whether it falls under plagiarism or not, I will share with you later on. Okay, so now, what is the main difference between plagiarism and copyright? You have heard about the situations, brief situations about plagiarism and of course copyright. I share with you the situations of copyright always used in court or in the other ordinary course of business, our daily life, but plagiarism is only limited to higher education. So, what is the main difference between plagiarism and copyright? You can accuse a person for plagiarism if it falls under the academic integrity. It means that academic integrity always the right words and the right forum is in the university. Okay. I now extended it not only to the university, but it can also happen to the research institute, but not to school. If you are asking whether a college also can happen plagiarism, yes, it is as long as it is under the purview of higher education. But schools, they are different. Okay, but copyright, you for example, you are taking photos of this slide, example only. Okay, and then use as yours the PowerPoint of mine today. You are using it without my knowledge, etc. You didn't acknowledge also that you are using the slides from originally from my slides, for example. Whether it falls under copyright or plagiarism. Okay, this is the main difference that I would like to share with you. If you are using my PowerPoint now and use it in the university context and for the purpose of teaching and for the purpose of teaching, for the purpose of your CV, in order for you to get promotions, etc., whereby actually the slide is not yours, okay, it may amount to plagiarism. However, if you are using my PowerPoint and now you are giving talks outside and earn, let's say, for example, 10,000 ringgit or 20,000 ringgit from the talk, by using my copyright, yes, it is breach of copyright, but not plagiarism. Remember, you are giving talk outside. You are making money from the talk outside the university. Okay, you are making 10,000 or 20,000. So in order to enforce your right, to enforce my right, I will sue you in court. But I cannot allege you or accuse you for plagiarism simply because it involves money and I want to be compensated. So in short, plagiarisms only happen in the university, and as a result of the plagiarism, you will be normally there are two main like punishments for plagiarism. The first punishment is if you are being conferred a degree, a scroll for that contributions that involve plagiarism, the degree or the scroll will be withdrawn. If you are using copyright items in order for you to get promotions as Professor Madya or Professor, okay, the matter can be brought to the disciplinary actions for the promotions to be withdrawn as well. Okay. So these are two things that always involve still in the university communities, in the academic field. It does not go to court at all. Okay, even though I may confuse to you just now, I said that plagiarism simply because there is one case of Fauzilah Saleh versus University Malaysia Terengganu, but I will detail out the case of University Malaysia Terengganu. They are totally different. It's actually natural justice, but involving an element of plagiarism. It's not a plagiarism case that was brought to court. I will share with you later on. However, copyright, you need to, if somebody breach your copyright, taking your article or your journal and make profits from it. For example, they assemble all your articles and make it a book and then sell the books and make RM out of it. For example, 100,000. Then you need to sue them in court for the breach of copyright, not plagiarism. Nothing to do with plagiarism. Plagiarism is always within the university compound. Copyright can be outside university compound. So in this case, in order for you to get your right back, because somebody else copied your article, make it a book and sell it and make profit of 100,000, you sue it under copyright. You cannot sue it under plagiarism. Plagiarism is not a case whereby you can make money. Because it's not a case whereby you want to be compensated. If you want to be compensated, you have to sue under the copyright. Plagiarism is something to do breach of the academic integrity, and then that person who has been alleged can be withdrawn his or her degree or his or her promotion. That's all. Okay, but copyright you can use it for anything else. You can be compensated. Normally, you can be compensated. You can ask the things for apologies. For example, you can ask for those articles to be retracted and apologize to you. It can be done. You can also ask to be retracted, and also you get being paid for the amount that you have losses because they have taken your buku, your article, your recipe, for example, without your knowledge, and then they make money. So these are the most important things of copyright. So plagiarism is always an act of academic, nothing else. But copyright can be both. Okay, and in most situations, it being used in the business. Okay, so you need to understand copyright. Okay, USM, like I said just now, we don't have the copyright policy. Why? Simply because copyright, it has an act of parliament, Acta Parliament. Okay, copyright has an Acta. Plagiarism does not have Acta. Okay, because plagiarism is only limited to the university. That's why we do have a policy on plagiarism. University need to enact or to craft a policy on plagiarism. But copyright, it has its own ACTA, AKTA, ACTA, an act. Okay, an act is the one, the rules and regulation being made by the parliament. So in Malaysia, we do have the Copyright Act 1987, Akta Hak Cipta 1987. Okay, so these are the things that you need to know about copyright. Okay, copyright has been exclusive right given to the owner of a copyright for a specific period. In plagiarism, it does not have any period, but copyright it has a period. Who knows how long is the period for copyright in Malaysia? Who knows about it? Because if we have a physical talk, I will always ask this question: how long is the copyright period, protection of the copyright? How long is it? And I'm pretty sure nobody will have the correct answer simply because it has some technical answers to it. Okay, some of you may you can write down how long is it for protection for copyright under the Copyright Act 1987. You can put it into your chat box. Okay, Zul says 25 years. Oh, good, Zul. 50 years, life of the authors plus 50 years, etc. Okay, the correct answer is 50 years, but it only started on the death of the author. Okay. So some of you, Dr. Sharon has got it right. Definitely she's in the area. In US, they have extended it to 75 years. In Malaysia, still using the old conventions of 50 years, but after the death of the first, after the death of the author. So it means here, if you have 3 authors, for example, how will be the calculations of the period? Okay, the calculation will be from the death of the last author. So 50 years is given the right, but it only kicks in after the death of the author. The 50 years started from the death of the author. If you have 3 authors, the death of the last author. So if you want to take advantage of it, once all the previous authors has passed away, you may revise the book and put the new author by the age of, let's say, 30 years old. So he may live it, he may be alive for the next 40 years. So the 50 years even didn't kickstart. Okay, so it means that's how long it has for the period of protection for copyright. I told you just now that plagiarism does not have a period for protection. Why? Simply because plagiarism has the element of cheating. Cheating is part of the fraud in the criminal system of justice, and as long as there is element of fraud or criminal elements, there is no time limit for the plagiarism. What I mean is any cheating case does not have any specific period for you to be accused of or to be brought to the court for criminal justice. Maksudnya ia ada elemen jenayah, sebarang elemen jenayah tidak ada tempoh tertentu untuk ditangkap. Okay, so as well as plagiarism, it has the element of cheating, fraud, etc., criminal element, so it does not have any specific period. So as long as we can prove it, we can bring over the case at any time, even though after 30 to 50 years. Okay, okay. So come back to the copyright. There is no registration for copyright in Malaysia. I would like to emphasize that there is no registration for copyright in Malaysia. The work is protected automatically upon creation. Once you have created it, put it in writing, put it in taping, recording. Okay, copyright can be recording in kind of recording, can be in, of course, in kind of writing, your article, your thesis, your book, etc. It can be also in terms of taping, recording, etc. But as long as you have recorded in writing, there is no system for registration. Okay, now you make you confused. How can I protect something that has not been registered for protection? How can copyright? Yeah, I understand. I didn't register my thesis or my future thesis to be registered under the copyright. You understand it, but you may also heard it. But it's not wrong to register it. Yes, it's not wrong to register it, but it's not obligatory or it's not compulsory for you to register it. So how it been protected? Once you created it, once you created an article, it will be automatically protected. How it been automatically protected? You have to prove that you have created it. You are the main author of it, and you have the date that you have created it. Of course, the date in the computer, the date in your publications, etc., are all material in order for you to prove it that you have created it. By the date appeared on your publications. The important thing that I would like to share with you just now on this slide is that there's no registration. It's not compulsory for you to register. Yes, you can. What are the benefits is up to you, because even if you don't register it, the same benefit you are getting. The only thing that if you are registered it, you will need to pay a certain sum of money. Last time is 45 ringgit, now 200 ringgit, the new fees, and then you just have the receipt of it. For those who are not registering it, you don't have it, but it's still protected. Okay, so where do you, if you want to register it, where do you register it? You register it at MYPO, Malaysian Intellectual Property Office, MYPO. Okay, that MYPO has apa ni, pejabat utara, pejabat selatan, and his pejabat Penang or wilayah utara is in Seberang Jaya. It's very near to us, Seberang Jaya. Okay, MYPO, the head office is in Bangsa. Okay, so you can register it, but like I said, it's not compulsory. Okay, last time in 2017, it cost you only 45 ringgit to register it. If you are using an agent, it may cost you up to 200 ringgit. However, there was a revision on this fees. At the moment, you are talking about 200 to 250 ringgit. Okay, for the current fees of 2022. So these are the things that the latest receipt in 2022. I took the receipt back on 8 April 2022. It costs you about 200 ringgit. If you are using the agent, it may cost you up to 450 ringgit to 500 ringgit. Remember, you are not obliged to register, but if you want to register, there's no harm. You pay this 200 bucks to MYPO, you get the receipt. This is the evidence. My question is does it apply to all your articles, your journal? No, it only applies to the article under this receipt only. Only one article per receipt. Okay, the one that you registered. So it may not serve the purpose if you have 20 articles, you want to register it for 200 ringgit times 20. Okay, even it does not matter when you created it, but this show that you have registered it at MYPO, Perbadanan Harta Intelek. Okay, I emphasize again, it's not obligatory. It's not. Dah, terputus eh? Nampak lagi eh? Putus eh? Tak.
Okey, Dr. Khairul.
Nampak kan saya punya slide? Nampak lah?
Oh, cuma tak ada slide.
Tak ada slide,
Ya, tak ada slide presentation.
Tiba-tiba terputus sekejap eh. Sekejap, saya sedang. Oh, tak dapat. Dia tak dapat masuk. Share. Dia tak dapat cari saya punya slide. Okey, bolehkah saya keluar sekejap, saya masuk balik? Sekejap ya, saya keluar sekejap ya.
Dr. Khairul boleh unmute? Dr. Khairul boleh test suara? Tak dengar, masih belum dengar. Masih belum dengar. Ladies and gentlemen, we are trying our level best to troubleshoot the technical issues that we are facing now. Mohon maaf di atas perkara yang berlaku, harap sabar dan kita akan maklumkan dari masa ke semasa ya. Sorry for the incident.
Assalamualaikum.
Okay, saya pakai handphone ni, dengar ke saya?
Dengar, saya dengar.
Dengar Masalah dia saya pakai satu desktop ni pun dah tak boleh masuk. Satu desktop ni tak boleh masuk.
Mula kami ingat.
Okay, saya boleh tolong saya, siapa boleh tolong saya boleh komputer saya ni tak boleh connect audio langsung. Walaupun video saya keluar, ni saya sedang bercakap melalui handphone. Boleh dengar, boleh clear kan? Boleh tak saya hantar siapa-siapa boleh jadi boleh share slide saya? Tapi saya nak hantar sekarang. Dr. Ala boleh kan Dr. Ala?
Boleh. Dr. Khairul, boleh.
Okay, sekejap ya.
Ya.
Dr. Ala, apa email Dr. Ala?
Saya type dekat chat box ya.
Saya tak nampak chatbox. Baca ya.
Okey, ALLA. Okey, sekejap.
Sekejap, saya pakai ni email ni lah. ALLA. Sekejap.
Betul, yang tu.
Yang mana? Tak jumpa. ALLA.
BAKSH.
BAKS. Okey, jumpa lah.
Yang tu. Okey.
Interesting. Okay, dah hantar kat you from my Gmail. Dapat tak?
Dapat.
Okay.
Bukan. Sekejap. Belum dapat lagi.
Okay, tak apa. Dr. Firdaus, I just in case juga kalau you pun dapat ya, Dr. Firdaus. Try to go to your email, Firdaus.
Yes, I can hear you, Doctor.
Okay, Firdaus. Send to your USM email just in case Dr. Ala tak boleh buat.
Saya tak dapat lagi email ni. Saya dah tunggu.
Dapat lagi, okay. Minta maaf semua, saya tak pasti first time jadi. Nak kata isu komputer, satu laptop lain. Satu desktop ni yang sedang saya bergerak nampak ni pun baru buka. Tadi saya pakai laptop lain. Di belakang ni ialah laptop yang sedang buat tadi lah. Yang terputus. Boleh siapa-siapa tolong Dr. Firdaus atau Dr. Ala dapat ke?
Belum lagi, Dr. Khairul. Can you maybe WhatsApp me maybe I can open from WhatsApp? Is it okay?
Ya.
Okay,
Kalau WhatsApp mungkin senang.
Okay.
Saya dapat dah.
Dapat lah?
Dapat. Email.
Lambat lah.
Okey, saya buka slides.
Sembilan setengah, 10:30, baru sejam. Okay. Kalau siapa-siapa boleh tolong dia jadi macam ni kat bawah.
Okey, nampak
Dia jadi nampak. Saya punya audio ni macam mana?
tadi slide yang ke
Saya punya audio jadi macam ni. Tak boleh nak connect langsung.
okey. Slide yang ke berapa tadi Dr. Khairul, saya pun dah lupa.
Sekarang lagi. Mungkin slide ke 30 lebih.
Okey.
Lagi bawah. Okey, stop. Oh, banyak. Okey, atas lagi 20 lebih. Okey, atas lagi sikit ya. Okey, tu dekat receipt tu 22.
22, okey.
Saya kata next, boleh pindah ya.
Okey, boleh.
Okey, okey, mohon maaf semua yang hadir. Masalah teknikal yang saya tak pasti apa yang berlaku. Saya tak tahu nak buat. Okey, sekarang kita go from slide nombor 22. Siapa yang perasan tadi memang ada 80 slide, tapi kita tak sampai ke 80 ya. Kita akan berhenti kepada setengah-setengah slide, nanti kita laju. Okey, kita baru sejam, kita ada sejam lagi. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, minta maaf sangat-sangat. Okey, ini ialah receipt. This is the receipt for the RM200 box. In case you want to register it. Next. Okay, these are categories of copyright that we can register in the MyPo. Okay, most of our work will be under category number 1, literary. Okay, category number 2 and number 6 are not within our field. So most of us, we are only lodging it for the type of works number 1. Okay, category of work. So there are 6 categories. We are only concerned about number 1. Okay, next. Okay, so in order for you to be to ensure that you are protected, some of you may opt to put it the C dalam bulatan. This C dalam bulatan, C stand for copyright, yes, in your articles or in your books, etc. But rest assured, even if you didn't insert the word C dalam bulatan ni, it won't make your articles not protected. It's still protected. It does not matter. Okay, but these are the ways on how to put it that you are serious about copyright. Okay, under the there are some myth of copyrights in the websites. Google, for example, sometimes you are googling for a nice photos, for example, and you thought because it is in public domain, you think that it's no need to get the permission from the owner or the real author of the photo. No, it's wrong. Okay, even though it's in public domain, it has the word C or it has the watermark, for example, JT images, GETTY, or it has a Shutterstock, for example. It means that it's not for free, even though it's in public domain. So you need to see whether this C ada ke tidak, or you need to identify whether there is a watermarks on that photos or not. Okay, so only those kalau tak ada, sometimes when you copy it, the watermark didn't appear. But once you want to edit it, the watermark appear. So it means that it is a paid photo. Okay, so but we are talking about your articles or your books now. So in this situation, some of you may want to know, may want to establish that, look, if I allow people to take it, but with my consent, then you may want to insert this paragraph in your articles. Okay, the paragraph, then the last sentence, you can take photo of this, no problem. Your contact information goes here. This is what you put it, Doctor. For example, Dr. Arif, dash your phone number or your office number, that or your email address can be done. Okay, so these are the sample of copyright that we are that we are encouraging you to insert in some of your publications. Next. Okay, what is the duration of copyright? Just now I said most of you have got it right. 50 years, but from the death of the author. So that is the duration. Next. Okay, next. Okay, 50 years after after the death of the author. Next. So now we know the duration of copyright. I told you whether there is any duration for the plagiarism. You should be able to answer it by now. There's no duration for plagiarism. Plagiarism. For example, if it's a plagiarism, even though it happened in 1980s, then it's a plagiarism. Okay. So if it happened now, it can be 20 years back, it can be how many years back, as long as you can prove it. Okay, I would like to share with you a case whereby we have been handling one tough plagiarism issue that has been complained to USM. Back in year 2015, there was a case whereby we received a complaint from one docent, one lecturer from Sumatra, the one that I shared with you a little bit just now. One lecturer in Sumatra has wrote to USM lodging a complaint that his dean, who was the USM students during the master level, was practicing plagiarism in the master's thesis. Okay, so immediately once we receive it, we need to investigate. The fact of the case is something like this. The allegation was made against a master thesis that our students graduated back in 1997. Yes, 1997. I was confused, 1993 or 1997. Let me check again. Yes, in 1997. In 1997, our students and Indonesian students has successfully been conferred a master degree from USM. Later on, he continued his PhD in one of the university in Indonesia, and he got his PhD back in 2003. Okay. Then he continued working in his university in Sumatra, and was made a dean at particular time back in 2014. Okay, so these are the facts. 1997 graduated from us USM master degree. 2003 got PhD from an Indonesian university. 2014 when he was a dean, the complaint came in. From his own friend, from his own colleague last time. Okay, the issue was back then is that the complaint provide the evidence that 6 pages out of 213 pages of his master thesis was plagiarized from the complainant's PhD thesis in Gajah Mada. The complainant has graduated back in 1993 from University of Gajah Mada. Okay, he did his PhD. Okay, so we can easily notice that 6 pages were in verbatim from his master degree to the complainant's PhD thesis. Okay, that's no doubt that we can see it immediately because the complainant has given the comparison of his PhD thesis and our student's master thesis. Okay, we knew that we were in tough situations, something like there are few tough situations that need to be made. For example, first, remember the complaint was made in 2015, but the thesis in issue was the master thesis back in 1997. How many years back then? Roughly about 20 years back. Okay. Second is that any decision on the master degrees, let's say for example, will be withdrawn, whether it will affect the PhD that he has gotten it back in 2003. Remember, after he finished his master with us in USM, he continued and successfully obtained his PhD in 2003. what will be the effect of his PhD, because remember the step to go for his PhD was from the master from USM. So whether it has a domino effect on the PhD or not, we'll need to discuss as well. And the third important point which made us more puzzled was something, the thesis, when we first look at it, there were many blanco, it's not blanco, there were many strike through as well as liquid paper. At that time doesn't have blanco yet, if not mistaken. Okay, remember 1997 thesis, which was made between 1995, 1996, 1997, was not like the thesis like what we have today. Can be cleaned up in the computer, etc. At that point of time, they are using the typewriter, the manual typewriter. There's not using the printer that we have now. There's not using the computer that we have now. And it also, you need to imagine that at that point of time, the research was made not by Google as well. The research was made by physical, referring to the books, to the articles, or by physical way in our library. So the issue back then was, how can our students got how can our students can plagiarize in verbatim the 6 pages, whereby the material that he been alleged of copying was not in our library. So then we call up the both the complainant and also the accused person, our student, and we were then told that, look, they are friends. At one point of time, they are close friends. So the complainant in fact offered his PhD thesis to him when both went back to Indonesia. They met up, let's say in year 1996. So the complainant has voluntarily passed his thesis to our students to be referred to. Okay, and as a result, of course, our students not simply referring, he's also copying in verbatim, sama sebiji-sebiji. Okay, satu perkataannya sama. Okay, and as a result, only 20 years after that, he now been accused for plagiarism. Okay, in this case, you need to understand, back in year 1997, it was not like the situations in 2015 or 2022 now. Okay, there's no Mr. Google yet has been prevalently been used. The thesis are full of liquid paper, tampalan. It's a real tampalan on certain chapters, certain paragraph, etc. This is simply because the same thesis that been submitted for viva voce, they use the same thesis for the final submissions of the thesis. So our task, the jawatan kuasa, was tough simply because what will be our decision? Because we simply agree that 6 pages out of 213 pages were verbatimly copied from the PhD thesis, whether it falls under plagiarism or not. Okay, by rule of thumb, yes, it falls under plagiarism. It does not matter whether how many percentage of it. 6 pages is all important pages, and then we consider as a plagiarism. But in this case, at the end of the day, the committee unanimously decided it's not plagiarism, simply because couple of issues that arises. First, the issue in hand were, our students actually acknowledge the source of his copying, but he didn't acknowledge the source from his friend. He acknowledged from the original author. So in this case, we then compare to the original book at that time, and we found out the complainant actually was not honest in writing the original thesis of his PhD. He was the one actually didn't due acknowledgement to original author. Happen that our students put some of the original author into his acknowledgement, whereby I can also agree not the full details has been acknowledged, but at least in most of the paragraph he has rightfully acknowledge the real author who was from Holland, Netherlands, at that point of time. So in this case, in short, we decided that there is no plagiarism issue and the complainant was not happy, and that's why the complainant reported it to the social media and the newspapers over there in Sumatra, and that's why I came across the word zina akademik. Universiti Sains Malaysia membenarkan zina akademik berlaku di universiti mereka. So that was kind of reports that appears on the newspaper back in 2015. We were quite embarrassed, but we replied back that after due investigations, there's no issue of plagiarism because our students has rightfully acknowledged the right author. In fact, the complainant was not right in acknowledging the original author. So it was the issue that been debated at the time. To me, it was one of the most difficult investigations on plagiarism because it involved a thesis that were 20 years old at the time we investigated the matter. Okay, next. Dr. Ala, next. Okay, so understanding plagiarism, we have done the copyright just now. So you should now catch the correct main words that differentiate between plagiarism and copyright, which is academic work. As long as it is within the academic ecosystem, within the university's ecosystem, you can accuse someone for plagiarism. You don't accuse people of breaching your copyright. But if it is outside the university, you can use it as for stealing your copyright, breach of copyright. You can use it outside the university. But in the university ecosystem, if somebody stealing your academic work, that's the right word to describe it is plagiarism. Outside the university is a copyright. So I hope that you understand what is the main difference between copyright and plagiarism at the moment. Next. Okay, so these are the things that I would like to describe. And copyright can attract you money, can get you be compensated. Copyright is always about law and justice. You need to attend court. But plagiarism is always limited within the university ecosystem. A student who has been conferred a degree can be withdrawn because of offense of plagiarism. Like what do Indonesian students just now? He can be retracted back, withdrawn back by the university for his master degree if he's found guilty. Okay. In these situations in USM, what is the situations in USM? Remember, in USM, we never withdrawn any degrees that has been conferred before. However, we almost every year we have a situation whereby a students did not graduated simply because he or she has been involved in plagiarism issue and was detected during the viva voce. Okay, so in this case, in our situations, for the students, you didn't graduated simply because the plagiarism issue was detected and we investigated and there were a merit for the plagiarism issue to be involved. Of course, we have a degree, a degree of plagiarism that you can pass your viva voce, or viva voce can happen again, or viva voce need to be stopped simply because the plagiarism percentage was very high, or the merit of plagiarism is there. Okay. To academics, I can confirm with you, we have at least 2 academicians been brought over to Tata Tertib, and both has been dismissed from the university by way of the disciplinary actions. In one situation, it happened in one of the schools here in Penang, whereby, in this case, a supervisor has been complained by her ex-students that she practiced plagiarism. What happened? the students, our USM students doing her PhD was ASTS or SLAP from other universities. To be precise, I would term it as UITM. This lecturer of UITM continued her PhD in USM, and while doing her PhD, her supervisor for the first offence has used her chapter 3 and chapter 4 and make it a paper, submitted it without the student's name. So the student realized it from the friend's information. So she went to the dean, and they resolved this first case at the dean's office by way of the supervisors adding the student's name into the publication. At first, the supervisors reluctant to do it, but due to the interference from the dean and the gravity of the offence, she then agreed to insert the student's name into the publication. Okay, that was the first situations happened, and then the students graduated. The students went back to UITM being a lecturer, and after 6 months, she realized again the same supervisor has published her chapter 4 and chapter 5 now as his as her paper without the student's name. Now remember, the students went back to UITM already, no more students of USM, and she don't want to compromise anymore. She said enough is enough, and she lodged a complaint direct to the university, not to the deans anymore. But telling the university that this is the second situations happened. The first was resolved amicably by the dean, but now I don't want to resolve it. I want to complain it to the universities, to the vice chancellors, and as a result, we investigated the matter. The committee investigated it, and we found there are clear elements of stealing and plagiarizing the students' PhD thesis. And we brought her to Tata Tertib. Tata Tertib unanimously dismissed her, buang kerja. You should understand, the buang kerja means that she will lose all her gratuity, her award 129, as well as the pension. So in this case, now then only she regretted back. She want to resolve it with the students. The students don't want to discuss anymore because it is a disciplinary actions matter. And yes, the case happened in 2016, and at the moment I was told that she's now teaching in one of the university in Bangkok. So these are the issues of the plagiarism issues that we had involving our academicians. So to academicians that are listening to us, look, this is a serious issue. Please avoid it. Definitely, if you have any issues or any potential issues about plagiarism within the academic staff, please come over to my office. We should discuss it and see what will be the best situation. Because once the case been elevated to investigation committee of the plagiarism under the policy, it's a very slim chance for the matter to be resolved amicably. Okay, amicably means here somebody need to either withdraw or to apologize or to insert the names that have been left that should be appeared into the article or book. Okay, next. Okay, fair use and plagiarism. Here, in this case, in copyright, there is a principle of fair use, whereby if you are relying on the fair use, you will not be prosecuted in the court. You will not be found guilty in the court. Okay, fair use means that, for example, routine example would be something like a student somehow photocopying a book and use the book as his without buying the original books, whether the publisher can sue the student or not, it will fall under the fair use, because the student just need to establish that he or she is a student, current student, and he or she is using it for his own education, not for sale. Okay, so it falls under the fair use. Even though, for example, you are using my slide here for example, it's a good slide. For example, let's say it's a good slide talking about your area, and sometimes you use other people's slide or my slides, but for teaching in your class, so it also falls under fair use. You will not be prosecuted. Nobody will sue you successfully because you are using it for non-profit. In this case, you are using it for education. This is the exceptions for copyright. But for plagiarism, you don't have the defense of fair use. Plagiarism is always plagiarism. Okay, the question always been posed to me is that how many percentage will be considered as plagiarism? If I only copying in verbatim only one page out of 300 pages, is it called plagiarism? Yes, it's still called plagiarism. But plagiarism need to be established on even it's one page, it is the result of a particular lab test, for example. It's a result of particular survey, example. Then it is a most important part of a certain thesis or a certain publication. Even though it's one page, it will be considered as serious. Okay, it will be considered as serious. Okay, so so there's no defense of fair use in plagiarism simply because plagiarisms, even though you do it for 10%, 1%, is still called plagiarism. So you came across, particularly for students, you can't submit simply because it's above 25% of plagiarism as indicated in Turn-it In. And as such, IPS didn't allow you to submit. Okay, this is not a plagiarism per se. This is the policy of the university that any Turn-it In above 20% or 25% are not allowed until and unless been revised. Been revised. The thesis been revised. So this is not considered, even the Turn-it In shows 25% is not a plagiarism per se. The real plagiarism. Plagiarism still need to be measured by a fair a physical comparison between these two. I will show you some examples. Next, Dr. Ala. Okay, next. Okay, there are 4 types of plagiarisms. Of course, the first type is copying. Second, next. Okay, being fast. Patchwork plagiarism, next. Paraphrasing plagiarism, next. And unintentional plagiarism, next. Okay, I will explain to you what are these types. Okay, next. Okay, okay, so how to avoid plagiarism? Simply be honest. You cite your own. You do the citations. Give credit when it's due. Acknowledge the author of the original work that you have been referring to. So to avoid plagiarism, just be honest. If you are taking from somebody else, quote it, cite it. That's the best way of avoiding plagiarism. Next. Okay, you can't have these situations when you are talking to, yes, this paper sounds a little like the article we read last week. Yes, you are saying that those great minds think alike. So there's no way for an article to be 100% similar simply because both things the same. No, there must be some difference, at least for the for the important elements in a particular situations. Next. Okay, these are level of plagiarism. You can see level 1 until level 4. You can see the color are different. Level 1s are color difference. Level 2 white in color. Level 3 is a little bit pink in color. Level 4 is the red in color. Okay, bear in mind, these are level of plagiarism. If you are being referred to the investigation committee, we will decide based on the level. Okay. Outside this level is that non-guilty lah, nothing to do. You are not committing any plagiarism. That's the outside of the
of this plagiarism. But most of the complaint that came, it falls under either level 1, level 2, level 3, or level 4. What are the difference? If it's level 1, it means that you are still allowed, if you are students on Viva Voce, you are still allowed to to continue with first Viva Voce, to continue with Viva Voce. Okay, if you are forced under level 1. Level 1 means that there are not many plagiarisms involved. You are still, while we interview you, you shows that you are ignorant about it. You didn't you did not deliberately plagiarize. You show that you don't know some things, and then those issue that you've been accused of plagiarism is not significant. But if it falls under level 2, level 3, and level 4, the Viva Voce will not happen. It means that impliedly, indirectly, you fail your Viva Voce. Okay. Why I say Viva Voce? Because most of the plagiarism issue been detected during Viva Voce's level, during the internal and external examinations of your thesis. And while you are attending the Viva Voce, they will tell you, they will let you know that, look, we found out the elements of plagiarism, and now we are stopping the Viva Voce for the investigation committee to check on it. So if they check, the investigation committee check your thesis, and it falls under level 2, level 3, level 4, I would say definitely the plagiarism will not continue. Particularly if it falls under level 4. Level 4 is tiada maaf bagimu. Okay, you will not be given a second chance to Viva Voce. So many cases falls under level 4. I will show you some statistics shortly. So these are the issue. Okay, next. What consists of level of plagiarism, level 1, level 2, level 3? We have this level and explanation. Of course, those non-serious one will fall under level 1. What do you mean by non-serious one? It's very subjective for me to explain to you now, but as long as you can show that you are not deliberate, and those that been alleged is not significant, then it can fall under level 1. Level 2 and 3, it means that there are some elements and there are also some deliberation from your side. There's something that you know that you should put citation, but you didn't put it simply because you don't want to put it, you are lazy, or you whatever that your reason is it may fall under level 2 and level 3. Next. Level 4. Level 4 is beyond reasonable doubt that you have intention. There is a clear indications whereby the plagiarism happened. I give you an example. A case whereby 2 students were brought over to Jawatan Kuasa Siasatan simply because both of their theses are similar to each other. The further checking of the further investigation shows something like this. Okay, students A has done the Viva Voce and has submitted for the final thesis. Student B was just registered for Viva Voce, and during the examination, the internal examiner found out is similar to the thesis that he has read 9 months ago. Means that the student's A thesis. Okay, he has read somewhere. He said he remember he read somewhere almost similar writings to the student's number 1, and then as a result, the internal examiner suspects that it involved plagiarism. Okay, when we investigated the matter, we found out student B actually plagiarized student A. But what is the mode of plagiarism? Did he made available the copy and type written it? No. Students B actually admitted that he approached student A and offer his service to check the English of students A thesis. And as a result, students A passed him the thumb drive of students A's thesis. Okay, Immediately after the students A passed thumb drive, he checked the English, etc., passed back, but he kept, he saved the students A whole thesis. And he used the thesis later on as his thesis and submitted to the university 9 months after that. Okay, happened to be the examiner, the internal examiner was the same person, and as a result, they were caught for plagiarism, and of course, the offender is student B, nothing to do with student A. Student A just passed his thumb drive to student B, and as a result, student B copied it. Okay, that is how some of the cases that been happening in USM. We knew some of other modes of plagiarism as well, but these are the things that I would like to share with you. Okay, next page. Okay, these are the catat alil for if you found it the thesis during Viva Voce. Okay, during Viva Voce, how to handle the plagiarism lodged during Viva Voce. Next page. Salah. Okay, these are the complaints outside the Viva Voce situations. Okay, let's say if you found out staff A or student A has been plagiarized something, and you suspect it, you can send it to IPS, you can send it to the vice chancellors, you can send it to anybody, you can send it to my office, then we will investigate. But the catat alil number 1 just now was something to do during Viva Voce. This catat alil, the current one that on screen, this is during Viva Voce. The next one is outside the Viva Voce situation. So we have it handy in our policy on plagiarism. Okay, I just snapshot and show it to you the situations on how to complain about plagiarism. Next page. Okay, we come to the example of plagiarism. Look at this color, the color scheme of this one page thing. This is an obvious, we call it plagiarism in verbatim. All mostly are obvious. Okay, the yellow similar to the yellow on the right, the yellow from the in the left similar, the red in the left similar to the right, and the blue one similar to the blue one. If you read it carefully, you can see those only 1 or 2 words has been replaced instead, but the rest are almost all verbatim similar. Okay, if you want to know how how what I meant by the copyright in verbatim, plagiarism in verbatim, this is one of the kind that we have. Okay, you can see how they have been paraphrasing it to the different paragraph only, but almost they are all the same. Okay, next. Okay, these are one of the plagiar A, plagiar B just now that we have been doing, and then you see only the page number has been changed. Okay, the rest are not. I'm just accepting the general ones so that you would detect from which school that this case coming from. So almost this on this issue of plagiarism of plagiar A and plagiar B, they are in verbatim in roughly about 60 pages of the 300 pages that they have for this thesis. Okay, so these are the things that I just extract it out. Next. Okay, these are some of the things that we have investigation by plagiarism committee. You see how we got it similar to each other. Okay, these are the things that we have. Instead of 245, the plagiarized things got it, put it as 261, for example. But the rest are almost similar. Next page. Okay, next page. Next page. Okay, these are all examples. Next. Okay, these are the reports from the committee, whereby we said that tajuk kajian hampir sama, soalan kajian sama, teori yang sama, perspektif yang sama, model inisiatif yang sama, instrumen yang sama, bilangan survey yang sama, terma daripada ni yang sama, 3 bab terakhir amat menonjol seperti berikut. You see, which are the details. These are the report from the committee in order to convict a particular students or particular staff of the offence of plagiarism. Okay, remember in USM we don't have any copyright issue because we will refer the copyright issue to court, but this plagiarism issue is under our hand by our own committee, plagiarism committee. Next page. Okay, another example, these are the things that we've been reporting. Jawatan kuasa bersetuju secara kolektif, unanimous, saying that wujud ciptakan yang ketara. Okay, so tesis adalah melihat milik pendu telah disokong, and in this case, it falls under level 3 just now. Remember, level 1 until level 4, the committee said that it falls under level 3. This level help the university to understand how serious is of the plagiarism issue of a particular case in respect to a particular case. So it's easier for us to put it tahap 3, tahap 4, tahap 2, tahap 1. Tahap 4 is too bad to be accepted, is tiada maaf bagimu. Okay, next. Okay, I would like to share with you a case of Fauzilah Saleh just now. In the first beginning of this, I share with you is a Fauzilah Saleh case, whereby Fauzilah Saleh, is not a plagiarism case being brought to court. Remember, plagiarism should not reach the court level. Okay, so why this Fauzilah Saleh versus Universiti Malaysia Terengganu? I'm saying that this is a plagiarism, but at the same time, I said it should not go to court. Okay, you may be confused now. Okay, but now I would like to explain, and the confusion should erase. In Fauzilah Saleh versus Universiti Malaysia Terengganu, this Fauzilah Saleh was a staff and also a student of Universiti Malaysia Terengganu. Fauzilah Saleh still exists, still there in Universiti Malaysia Terengganu. Okay, in 2011, okay, he was brought over to Jawatan Kuasa Tata Tertib Universiti Malaysia Terengganu for the offence of plagiarism. In the Jawatan Kuasa Tata Tertib UMT, she was dismissed from the university for the offence of plagiarism. Remember, we also have the case of plagiarism here. Remember the one that I said that she's now working in Bangkok. Okay, similar case, brought over to Jawatan Kuasa Tata Tertib and then been dismissed as a staff of USM for the offence of plagiarism. But Fauzilah Saleh is not happy when she was dismissed, simply because important issue of Universiti Malaysia Terengganu dismiss her during the disciplinary committee, but not calling her to defend her case. Look at the bullet number 2. Okay, on the principle of natural justice, the plaintiff has been accorded to the due process she deserves, in particular her right to be heard. In this case, she has not been given the right to be heard. Universiti Malaysia Terengganu straight away dismiss her in her case without asking her to defend her case, without asking her to provide a satisfactory answers to the allegation of plagiarism. So Universiti Malaysia, in this case, Fauzilah Saleh is not happy. She engaged Tun Saleh Abbas. Saleh, even though her Fauzilah Saleh, you may wonder whether Tun Saleh Abbas is her father or not. No, nothing to do with Tun Saleh Abbas. Tun Saleh Abbas was her counsel in defending the case against Universiti Malaysia Terengganu. Okay, so in short, the court decided that yes, Fauzilah Saleh was not given the right to be heard, and as a result, her dismissal was null and void. Tak laku. Dia punya buang kerja tidak sah. Simply because she was not being given the right to be heard. In any of the disciplinary action, you must provide the accused with right to be heard. In this case, Universiti Malaysia Terengganu failed to do it. That's the main gist of the case. Okay, so you understand the main gist of the case. So in short, Fauzilah Saleh won the case against UMT because UMT didn't give the right to be heard. In USM, we always give the right to be heard to the accused person. Don't worry here. But I don't know why this in case 2012, it happened in UMT. But the court, while deciding Fauzilah Saleh won the case, the court agreed. Next page, sorry, next page. Saya tekan tak. The court agreed that 35% of Fauzilah Saleh thesis was plagiarized from Professor Madya Dr. Nick Kamaria. Even though the Fauzilah Saleh acknowledged her source of information, she did not do it rightly. This is the second bullet, is why USM drafted our first policy on plagiarism. The court said it is the duty of the university to issue students writing the thesis with a proper set of writing guidelines. Now the student cannot complain that they don't have the student guidelines because the policy of plagiarism is available on IPS website. It's also available on my website. It's also available at the BPA website. Okay, so the court in this case, bullet number 3, found Fauzilah Saleh guilty of plagiarism. But remember, plagiarism is not an issue in court. Okay, plagiarism was an issue within the university ecosystem. So Fauzilah Saleh won the case despite the mahkamah bersetuju she committed plagiarism. Okay, next page. You want to see how many percentage of it. Okay, next page. The court even got outlined how many percentage of the plagiarized things happened in her thesis. This is the information from the court, not simply from somebody has put it 30%, 20%. The court analyzed it and found out first chapter 30%, second chapter 20%, third chapter, which is definitely important, 60%, fourth chapter is 58%. Even though without the plagiarism issue on the first or second chapter, third and fourth chapter also enough to submit to convict her for plagiarism. It's 60 and 58%, the court said. Okay, fifth chapter of defendant 9 was 13%. So these are the court's decisions on plagiarism issue. Yes, you found guilty on plagiarism, but the case in front of me is about you being dismissed without given the right of hearing. So you won the case. Okay, even though I agree that you have committed the act of plagiarism. Okay, next page. So this is the only court case about plagiarism that has been reported in court. Okay, these are the things that you may want to read, and the court even put it the name of the original author that she has been plagiarized with is Professor Madya Dr. Nick Kamaria from Universiti Malaya. Okay, next. Okay, so here we would like to have here, apart from plagiarism, okay, whether this kind of situations, look at the title here, whether it falls under plagiarism or copyright here from the title alone. Okay, you may need to decide whether it falls under copyright or plagiarism. Okay, and then okay, you may want to read now. Okay, it's a 2019 case. Okay, at University of Missouri, Kansas City. Okay, so what is your decision? Either it's a copyright or plagiarism. Okay, to those who have said that this is plagiarism may have confused the word professor. So it's a within university ecosystem, professor, and students. Okay, but if those who have decided of copyright, you have been looking at the word making millions, and the first sentence here, the University of Missouri, Kansas City has filed a lawsuit. So the answer is a copyright. It's not plagiarism. Okay. Remember, plagiarism does not involve money, not involving making millions, etc. Does not involve lawsuit. That's the main thing. So what is this? In this case, the University of Missouri sued the professor for stealing students' invention under the copyright. Okay, it's nothing to do with plagiarism. That's what I want you to understand, so that it will be have a clear understanding of what is copyright and plagiarism. Next. Okay, what is the responsibility of the supervisor in case of plagiarism of his or her students? Okay, so in this case, at the moment, we didn't bring the supervisor to tata tertib, simply because the student thesis involving in plagiarism, if a student thesis, always belong to the students. So in this case, in regard to the supervisor, he or she, the supervisor, may receive a letter of reprimand, but not being brought over to tata tertib. Only the students' stake will be at the student will be at stake. If the student found under level 2 to level 4, immediately the investigation committee will be set up. Look at the session, analyze the facts, the complaint, and if found guilty, he or she will not be able to proceed with the viva voce, and he or she will be brought over to tata tertib for dismissal. Okay, so what happened to the supervisors? So far, no. We only reprimand the supervisors when a case involves his or her students. Okay, so that's my answers to it. Next page. Responsibility of internal and external examiner. If you found out there is elements of plagiarism but not sure how many percentage, not sure whether it's true or not, yes, you need to report it. Leave it to the investigation committee to decide whether there is elements of plagiarism or not, but you, as internal or external examiner, be appointed to examine a particular thesis, you need to report it as long as you are suspicious for it. So that is your responsibility. So we have an issue whereby internal external didn't report it, but somebody else reported it simply because internal or external examiner said that they are not sure, they didn't realize it, they didn't come across it. So that's fine, a good explanation. But if you suspect something missing involving plagiarism, better report it. Otherwise, it will also affect the good name and reputations of you as internal and external examiner. Next page. Okay, turn it in. I share with you how many percentage of turn it in will be considered plagiarism. No, nil. Okay, turn it in only shows the potential plagiarism, and it only give you the idea to the university, to the IPS, whether to accept or not the submissions of your thesis. Okay, but even though even if you found if been found the plagiarism of turn-in is high, okay, the investigation committee will do it manual checking. It's not will not be relying 100% on turn-in. Turn-in will just give some indications for us to understand it, but it's not considered plagiarism. So there is no case we convict a particular students or staff based on turn-in. No. Okay, turn-in will just give you some indications what to do next. Okay, but convictions really need a manual checking on a particular karya, on a particular article or journal or books in order we can convict up to. So bear in mind, turn-in can only be an indication or alerting us on what happened to a particular article or books. Okay, next. Okay, cause of plagiarism, definitely you can be withdrawn from the degree that you have been conferred. If you are students, you will not be successfully obtain your degree, your PhD, simply because it involves plagiarism. Next. Okay, leave of plagiarism cases. Okay, next. In 2017, we have 4 cases. Okay, 4 cases. Out of 4 cases, look at item number 2 and item number 4 is tahap 4. So if tahap 4 means that guilty as charged, he or she did not graduate at all. Okay, the first item is tahap 1, so it been allowed to do a viva voce, to proceed with the viva voce. Next, 2018, we have 3 cases. Okay, we have to, and one of the cases involve the staff. Okay, 2019, we have, next page, we have 5 cases whereby only one case, number 5, within tahap 3 is involving a staff again. Okay, the rest all tahap 1 means that it's okay. 2020, never mind, 2020 we have 4 cases. The other one, tahap 3, number 4, it involves a lecturer. In this case, it's an interesting case of case number 4, tahap 3. It involves an ex-husband and ex-wife. Okay, the ex-husband reported on the ex-wife about the plagiarism happened in 2014. Okay, so I won't elaborate much, but the case been brought over to Tata Tertib, and the accused has been not been given the dismissal, but a serious punishment of turun pangkat. Okay, next. In 2021, we do have another one, 2021, involving pensyarah, but issue plagiatnya tidak bersalah. So it does not fall under level 1, level 2, or level 3. It's simply tidak bersalah. So these are the situations during COVID time. We have only one case. In 2022, also we do have one case at the moment. Okay, next page. I will not go with stuff USM, UYM. No, next page. Okay, I share with you some of the situations here. Next page. We are 11:25 now. Cheating of plagiarism. Next. Okay. Case law to share. Remember, this is a one good example of copyright. Why? It's involved Mahkamah Tinggi here. Okay, it's a 2010 involving one seniman negara, Datuk Syed Ahmad. What happened to that? Sorry. What happened to Datuk Syed Ahmad? Datuk Syed Ahmad was a very senior artist in Malaysia. He passed away, I think, 2 to 3 years ago. If any of you knows him, he passed away 2 to 3 years ago. In this case, he is the original author of an arc that was made an arc by DBKL. So he gave it the arc free to DBKL. What happened after a few years, DBKL has demolished the arc and make a new arc without his permission. Arc is satu like arc marble arc, apa arc ni archer lah, archer satu monument. So he give free, even though he give free to DBKL, and as a result, DBKL after a few years demolished the arc without his permission. And as a result, this seniman negara sue DBKL. DBKL said, you cannot sue us because you give it free to us. So if you give it free to us, we can do whatever that we want. But the court says no. The law of the copyright say, even though you give free, the moral rights of the author remains. It means that DBKL still required to get the consent in writing from the author, di seniman negara, before the demolishment. Okay, and because DBKL didn't do that, the court awarded him for 750,000 at that particular point of time, 2010. DBKL has to pay this. Okay, next. This is the arc that, okay, next page. This is the arc, the original arc back in 1985. Okay, it was not there, you can't find it because it's been demolished completely. Next. And somehow DBKL has demolished it. Okay, rebuild a new one, almost same design but different structure. Okay, next. This is how the arc look like after the demolishment and the seniman. So in this case, what I would like to convey with you, to share with you, look, even though you give it free, your articles, your etc. Okay, they cannot somehow commercialize it later on without your permission. Okay, even though, for example, you think that your article, your publication now has no effect at all, but somehow down the line, after 10 years, it can become an innovative product. So you think that you will miss it, you don't get anything simply because you don't know that it will become one day innovative product. So you don't have some, you don't need to be compensated. You are wrong. You can still be compensated simply because you are the real author, and the fact that you abandon it, you give it free, you abandon it, you don't kisah about it, still make you eligible for compensation if something happened. Okay, so in this case, this is how the Seniman Negara got 750,000 extra to his pocket. Next. Okay, what is wrong with this paragraph? Can you read? Can we have a read? I'm about to finish this. 11:27.
Dr. Khairul,
Ya, ya.
sesi sampai pukul 12.
Oh, sesi sampai pukul 12. Okay. So, no need.
No rushing.
No rush. Tapi kita buka untuk Q&A kot.
Betul-betul.
Sekejap, saya tengok Q&A saya ada. Q&A saya pun kosong tau. Mana saya nak buat?
Boleh tengok dekat chat je.
Tengok kat mana?
Chat.
Sekejap, checkbook saya kosong.
Tak ada soalan lagi setakat ni.
Oh, tak ada soalan lagi. Okay, siapa ada soalan boleh ni ya. Participant ada 129 orang. Okay. So, what is wrong with this paragraph? If you look at the paragraph carefully, I have mentioned about this Australian Master Chef. Okay, these are the things that being reported in the newspaper. Okay, the second paragraph, if we read it, plagiarism is not just confined to books. Australian Master Chef finalist Alvin Kwok was accused of plagiarism by Rasa Malaysia B. Yin Loh from the Asia food blog Rasa Malaysia. Do you think it's plagiarism? Okay, for the layman, yes, I may agree that it may amount to plagiarism, but in this case, in the real situations, legal definition, this is not plagiarism happen simply because it does not happen in the university. Okay, it happened in the Australian Master Chef, and of course, it up to Alvin Kwok to be sued or not by B. Yin Loh, but of course, B. Yin Loh has all the capability, the right to sue Alvin Kwok in this case for taking breach of the copyright of her Rasa Malaysia's food blog, okay, and claim as his. This is not a plagiarism per se, simply because I said it's not happened in the university or in the higher institutions, okay, but the reporting was using the word plagiarism. So I just want to share with you. Next page. Okay, okay, next. Okay, these are the important one of the important things about happened in Korea, South Korea in 2019. Can we have a read on this, and then I will explain why. Okay, here you may wonder if some of you, I'm positive that you have heard about it, but some of you may be appalled, terkejut dengan tajuk dia pun. Naming kids as a co-author, what does it mean? Naming kids as a co-authors. When I first read it back in 2019, I was also appalled with it. What does it mean? Is it outside the scope that we have been thinking of? Okay, actually here, this issue of naming kids as a co-author has been prevalent in more and more countries at the moment. Even though I agree does not happen in Malaysia yet, but it's a well-known things that happen in the advanced country. What happened? The academic now putting a kid, whether his or her own kid or other people's kids, because he will get some upah for it, he will get some token for naming the kids, simply because in order to raise a chance of the kid to be to enroll to a reputable universities. So that happened in Korea. Okay, so in this case, whether it's plagiarism or not, no, it's not plagiarism, but this definitely cause academic integrity. It's a moral issues of integrity as an academicians. Okay, and it also may falls under free riding. Okay, but I don't want to use the word free riding to describe this simply because it involves kids. Okay, the free riding always involve almost people in the profession simply because they want to get for promotions. For kids, they don't get the promotions. They've been named simply because once they attain the age of 18 years old, it will be easier for them to enroll to the reputable university because they have the publications with academics, etc. Okay, so now I really hope that this does not happen to many of our pertandingan at sekolah-sekolah, whereby they are putting the school kids are putting robots, etc., new innovations, innovative ways, etc. Of course with the help of their parents, etc., the teachers, etc. But not we are not coming to the level that naming the kid as the authors, etc., in a publication, but we are only limiting it to a certain particular pertandingan or competitions in Malaysia. But in some of the advanced country, yes, you look at the title of this news, whereby they are putting kids for token of money or their own kids in order to raise the chance to be admitted to the universities. Okay, so this is not plagiarism, definitely not plagiarism. Okay, but these are the things that of the moral and academic cheatings and integrity as well. Next page. Okay, this is a new things that happened back this year in 2022. Can we have a read on this? It happened in Singapore. I would say that in Singapore, the integrity test for academic is higher than us in Malaysia. For instance, in this case, the Singapore Management Universities, they found out that one of their academic assistant professor here, have falsified academic claims simply by lying about the conditional acceptance of her 2 papers. Okay, but to them this is a serious offense of lying, cheating, etc., and as a result they taking actions. But here, if almost the same facts happen in Malaysia, I believe it will be buried under the under sense, meaning that the university will not take action like what Singapore Management University were doing. So we in Malaysia, sometimes we quite late in implementing such academic integrity, breaching of this academic integrity. But this is why I come up with this.
Dr. Khairul. Dr. Khairul termute kah?
Dengar Dr. Khairul?
Hello, Dr. Khairul. Dr. Khairul. Mute, unmute.
Sorry, it was not an issue before, but later on, hopefully, any false claims about academic writing will be an offence in Malaysia. Okay, next page, Dr. Ala. Okay, so this is the last page. Definitely do not plagiarize and do the right things by copyright and not the copy wrong. I will take any verbal questions to me as well. First, I will go to our chat box whether there are questions to the issues or not, and then tak ada issues, tak ada ni lah. I saw ada question tadi, tapi Dr. Ala, Cik Zaman,
Ada dua soalan Dr. Khairul dekat chat.
saya kena tengok dalam handphone saya juga. Chat with everyone.
Boleh stop sharing ke Dr. Khairul?
Tak payah stop sharing lagi. Tak apa.
Okay.
Tak payah stop sharing lagi. Saya ni, okay. Saya dapat dah. Ya, saya tengok dalam handphone saya. Dah okay. Okay. Dr. Sumiyah, do we have to apply for the copyright first before we can use the symbol? No. A good question here. Do we have to apply for copyright? No. Copyright is something to do automatically, be conferred to you once you have finished a particular writings. Okay, even though you haven't finished it, the partial the partial works of yours still protected under copyright. So even though you want to use the symbol, there's no qualm. You want to use symbols at any time. Okay, there's no rules that you can only use the symbol and you have to apply it. No, symbol can be used, or you don't want to use it also, no problem, because the law said, the Copyright Act Akta Hak Cipta 1987 simply award you with the protections from other to copy you once you have put it in writing. So soalannya, do we have to apply for the copyright first before we can use the symbol? No, you can use the symbol at any time. Do not, you also not obliged to apply for the copyright. Is not compulsory. It's optional for you to apply it to MyPo. Remember, if you want to apply it, it costs you 200 ringgit. If you have 20 publications, if you can afford it, no problem. But if you have 250 publications, okay, if you still, I don't think you can afford to pay 200 ringgit now, simply because you want a receipt for that. So just publish it, just put it into your system. You have the system captures once you have created, when you have created the copyright, is all protected. Do not worry about it. Dot printed computers, Dr. Nordin, dot printed computers. Okay, do not print. Okay, I'm not so sure, Dr. Nordin. Dr. Siti Aisyah, what happened to supervisors if their students is has plagiarized the thing? We will reprimand the supervisors. We will not take any disciplinary actions to the supervisors. I repeat again, there won't be any disciplinary actions against the supervisor, but the supervisor may receive a reprimand letter from the university for not being being negligent until the students has plagiarized the work. Okay, copyright, betul, copyright. Tak ada pun sebut yang ni. Will there be a link for attendance? Okay, attendance link will be. Thank you very much. By the way, problem unmute. Okay, if you have a question, please type. Few soalan dan rasanya. Question. Okay, if copyright registration is not necessary once a document has been created, why is this included as a KPI? Yes, a good question as well. I have been debating on the same structure. Why a document need to be used to be lodged need to be lodged with MyPo, whereby the document supposed to be protected upon creations. Okay, these are the things whereby the Myra, they say that they want evidence. Okay, when Myra wants evidence, we say that pass the original or the printed copy of the article. That's all. But Myra want it to be registered with MyPo. So the reason is that they want it, all the universities has done it, so they want it. So what the universities response back, we only register a certain numbers at MyPo. We didn't register the whole lot. Remember, we have thousands of documents. If it falls under registrations, if they want it to be registered, but we only registered about 400, and it's all been done through our CIC office, the Center for Innovation and Consultations under Prof. Simala. So not all, yes, I agree, not all, and it's all this. The main purpose is just to satisfy the Myra KPI. Under the law, no, you are not required to do so. Otherwise, you can imagine your previous articles are not protected. Simply, they are not being registered with Myra, with MyPo. Sorry. Okay, so it's not obligatory. Leave it like that. If they want you to be registered, you may ask for some money to be registered. Remember, 200 ringgit, 200 bucks for each, and it costs us a lot of money. At the moment, I saw the number about around 300 to 400 has been registered. Okay, what happened to supervisors if their students detected for plagiarism? The same thing, I think. Hello, USM is using Turnitin as a plagiarism detection tool. Do the staff and students have access to the software? Yes. Dr. Razaina binti Mat Taib, yes. We have subscribed to Turnitin. Of course, the main Turnitin at IPS, but I was made known that each and every respective school have their own Turnitin. So just contact your deputy dean involved on academic. He or she will tell you who's in charge for the Turnitin in your respective school. So I was made known, almost confirmed, each and every respective school have your own detection tool of Turnitin at your school. I just want to add up something like, once you are using Turnitin, remember you need to learn how to use Turnitin, because once you use it wrongly, particularly you are saving the things that you are running under Turnitin, then you save it. So later on, once you run it again, the same document, it will show 100% plagiarism or 90% and above plagiarism. So if you know that you will run it again, that document. So do not save it under Turnitin. Okay, get the right, consult the right people in your school who definitely have this kind of knowledge on whether to save or not to save in the repository. We have a few issues about repository particularly from India, whereby they accuse a couple of our staff, including senior professors, of plagiarism, whereby in fact they send their articles to be published in our journal, and happen to be our journal. Once we run Turnitin, we save to our repository. So that's why it happens. Okay, sekejap ya. Jika saya introduce satu program, bolehkah saya buat copyright? Dalam permohonan, saya akan maklum saya bertulis mengenai program tersebut. Cik Muhammad Hafiz Hassan. Kalau buat program, bolehkah saya buat copyright? Copyright ni is about reducing in writing. If you have the program is about your itinerary. So I don't think you want to protect it under the copyright. But if you want to do a program come up with a working paper or a report, come up with something valuable, definitely is automatically protected under copyright. We have one case whereby Jabatan Perikanan contohnya accused one of our lecturer, retired already, of plagiarizing their report. So when we investigated, our lecturer did a consultation to other company, and he has been using the Jabatan Perikanan report for his report with the other company. Okay, definitely Jabatan Perikanan was made known to it and lodged a complaint to us. We take action against that senior professor. Okay, so he has to redo again, and university also have to apologize to Jabatan Perikanan, to be honest with you. Okay, I didn't tell you also to Google me about juru kamera USM membenarkan pencuri karya di dalam di dalam universiti. So it involve myself, whereby one of our department in USM has used the JT images and put it into a photo into our, remember the campus online? Today's campus online has the gambar foto parking kereta dekat Padang Kawat. A very nice photo indeed. But when in our case back in 2018, the administrator has used one of gambar Jambatan Pulau Pinang and Komtar, which he took it from internet. So the jurugamba was very mad on us, and somehow we pay 10,000 ringgit for 8 photos that we have been using. Okay, that was back in 2018. Okay, okay, Cik Muhammad Hafiz, saya rasa saya jawab ya. Yan, how about textbook adoption in class and the use of PowerPoint slides prepared by publisher? We had cases that students uploaded lecture slide notes to a website in exchange for other materials. Who's going to be responsible in this case? A good question here. How about textbook adoption in class? Textbook adoption. In this situations, the issue is that the publisher allowed you to adopt the textbook and use it in class. So there won't be any plagiarism issue because the publisher allow it in order for the boost of the sale of the textbook. When the lecturer use the textbook, it will boost up also the sale of the textbook, and that's why they allow it to do it. So there's no issue at all because the textbook has been especially consented by the publisher to be used in the class. And of course, the textbook comes with the PowerPoint slides prepared by the publisher. The same thing will happen. PowerPoint won't affect your any plagiarism or any copyright simply because the publisher allowed you to do it. Once the publisher pass for you together with all the things and put it into the slides inside the books, it means that it is especially allowed for you to do it. So the students also uploaded the matter to particular apps based in US. I can't remember what apps was that, the names of the apps, but in exchange of other materials, etc., if they upload 4 materials, they can get 40 minutes access to the websites. We knew about it, and we try to resolve the situations for USM in that website, but I can't do anything simply because when I contacted the administrator of the apps of the websites, we were told that USM have 18,000 slides of USM staff and students inside the apps. 18,000, 18,000. So we can't do much on that. Okay. Dr. Ala, some lecturers may not want to undergo tedious procedures like being called as a witness in the investigation and rather keep quiet. Yes, I agree with you, but there are still many good Samaritan lecturers who are willing at all times in order to tegakkan academic integrity. So we have been receiving quite numbers of informations, complaints, etc. about plagiarism because these good Samaritan lecturers, they are still want to report simply because want to maintain the academic integrity, etc. Yes, we do agree that they may not want to undergo tedious procedures. Simply the same situations of if you are involving in a petty crimes, you are a victim of a petty crimes, you may not want to be to lodge a report. I'm also may be in the same category as well, simply because there is a tedious procedures in police station. But still there are many more good Samaritans who are willing to lodge a police report, simply don't want the thing to happen to others. So Dr. Ala, I agree with you, but hopefully we have majority of our lecturers really eager if they have evidence handy on it. I may term it as some of the lecturers may not want to undergo it because they don't have a concrete evidence, maybe in most of the cases. Will there be a problem if you use the copyright symbol if you don't legally register the copyright? No problem at all. Remember, the copyright symbol is optional. You can use it or you may not want to use it. You can use it without any terms and conditions. You can use it. Not really you need to be to register it under the copyright. So that's all the questions. Tuan Sarwan, boleh ke terima kalau ada soalan nak tanya, saya boleh terima. Tuan Sarwan okey ke?
Nanti Dr. Khairul, okey, saya cuba tengok kalau ada lagi. Nampaknya masih tak ada lagi soalan, Dr. Khairul.
Ya. Ada soalan lisan ke kalau ada?
Ya.
Terus.
Ya, kalau ada soalan boleh unmute, boleh terus bertanya Dr. Khairul, silakan. Kita ada dalam mungkin 7 atau 8 minit lagi. Ada.
Kalau tak ada, saya mohon maaf sangat di atas connection audio saya. Dah 2 komputer pun tak mampu menyelesaikan masalah. Muncul teringat gunakan handphone. Sebab tu dah 2 gambar. 2 gambar. Sebab yang satu gambar yang di sini ni memang tak ada connection audio. Tak pasti kenapa. Tapi saya rasa kita dah cover semua yang ada sebabnya memang biasanya 2 jam 15 minit ke 2 jam setengah Tuan Sawan ya. Boleh dia so kita dah cover semua lah. If you have any issues but would like to do it privately, sending messages to me, you can email it across to my email kaha@usm.my. I will try to answer you within 24 hours. And if in fact kalau panjangnya cerita tersebut, you just give me a call so that we can discuss immediately on the situations. So saya rasa tak ada apa dah Cik Sawan, saya serahkan kembali kepada Cik Sawan lah berkenaan dengan sesi ini. Thank you very much for inviting me. Hopefully it will be beneficial sessions to all of us. Thank you very much.
Cik Sarwan tak dengar suara lah.
Okay. Sorry. Terima kasih Dr. Khairul. Let us give a big round of applause to Dr. Khairul by clicking on the emoji. Terima kasih Dr. Khairul. Thank you again for sharing such an insightful information with us. Kita akan jemput lagi Dr. Khairul dari masa ke semasa untuk memberikan penerangan dan juga sharing berkaitan dengan copyright dan juga plagiarism. Dan di chat box kita dah share link untuk attendance. Hopefully all of you can click on the link and make sure your name will be there for us to record untuk dapatkan mata CPD. With that, thank you very much again Dr. Khairul, and thank you to all of you for joining us dalam sesi webinar series ini. Semoga kita bertemu lagi dalam sesi-sesi yang lain. Sekian, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan hingga kita berjumpa lagi. Bye-bye.
Terima kasih semua.